Ready to start? So we'll be starting in about a few seconds. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this Property and Construction Sector Roundtable series by Climate Governance Malaysia and CEO Action Network. I am Shahida from the Group Corporate Communications team at SAMW Property, and I will be your MC for today. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin our program today, please allow me to introduce Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri Johan Raslan, who will be opening our session with his welcome remarks. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri Johan Raslan is a founding member of Climate Governance Malaysia and steering committee member of CEO Action Network. A former executive chairman of PwC Malaysia, he is currently a director. He is currently a director at the Institute of Corporate Directors Malaysia and an independent director and audit committee chairman at SAMW Property Berhad. Without further ado, over to you, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri.
Thank you very much, Shahida. Assalamualaikum. Very warm welcome to our esteemed speakers and all of you guests here today. My name is Johan. I'm hearing a bit of an echo, that's why I'm a bit delayed in the way I speak. Firstly, if I can introduce Climate Governance Malaysia, or CGM, and the CEO Action Network, or CAN, we call it CAN. Climate Governance Malaysia is a Malaysian chapter of the World Economic Forum's Climate Governance Initiative, and it was founded in 2019 and comprises non-executive directors from leading companies in Malaysia. CAN, the CEO network, is a network of CEOs representing around 45 leading companies in key sectors in Malaysia, all working to address sustainability. And our head in CAN is the CEO of Petronas. So this is the private sector. We're trying to play our part, and specifically its directors and CEOs. Collectively, our focus is on making sure that companies play their part in sustainability. Companies can make, of course, as we know, a huge difference in the fight against climate change and all its effects, or we can do the wrong thing and make it worse. Therefore, CAN and CGM are organizing a series of roundtables across some main sectors, such as energy and transport, plantations, circular economy, and of course, this one, our very own property development and construction. Today's event is the last of 4 roundtables in the property development sector. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, CAN and CGM are really honored to have all of you with us today. We all have a common goal in moving our industry forward on climate action. To be really effective in moving the needle, of course, we know all sectors have to work together, in particular government and companies. So in today's session, we are privileged to have with us Datuk Dr. Wong who is Timbalan Ketua Setiausaha Dasar in the Ministry of Housing and Local Government, KPKT, as well as Dr. Soam Choon, President of REDA. Dr. Mary will deliver later a keynote address, following which she and Dr. Soam will do a Q&A session that I will moderate. Out of these roundtables, the idea is that CAN and CGM will prepare a report for government suggesting how government can help the sector to fight climate change. And all this is timed in the run-up to November's COP26 conference in Glasgow that's coming up. More generally, of course, we want to play our part in building a whole of society, all of government engagement between all the stakeholders, not just companies, not just government, in the building sector in Malaysia. And more of that later. We want to keep this kind of discussion and dialogue going. Thank you again. Assalamu alaikum. And back to you, Shahida. Thank you.
Thank you, Datuk Seri. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the next segment, just a gentle reminder that you may share any comments, questions, or policy suggestions in the chat box at any point throughout the session. We highly encourage and welcome your contribution to the discussion. With that, I would now like to introduce Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Wong, Deputy Secretary General in charge of Policy and Development for the Ministry of Housing and Local Government. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Wong has been working for the Malaysian government for 31 years in various capacities under 5 different ministries. Apart from her current role at the Ministry of Housing and Local Government, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. is also heading a special task force on solid waste management and circular economy. On that note, silakan Yang Berbahagia Datuk.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you, Shahida. and Datuk Sri Johan Raslan, and also Datuk Soam for inviting me for this forum. And I'm very happy to be here. Okay, let me begin. The topic given to me is low carbon cities in Malaysia. I had put up this picture of this park on my first screen where I used to go there when I was young. I will let you guess where this place is, and this is where I came from. Next. Next, please. All right. Urbanisation in Malaysia is growing at a very phenomenal rate. Today, we are at around 77% urbanized, and we will reach above 80% by 2030. We can expect to see more cities expanding and kampungs shrinking. There is nothing wrong with having more cities, but it's how we manage them that is important. Next. The urban challenges that have arisen are not exhaustive here, as I've put up on the slide, but these are the ones mentioned here are related to climate change and greenhouse gas emission. As cities become more dense, we need to find solutions to mitigate the issues and problems. If not, they will become pain points to urban dwellers, and we can see other related problems coming up too. So as we all know, cities are responsible for producing 70% of the global greenhouse gas emission. And there's an urgent need right now to tackle these issues and also solve these problems like pollution, deterioration of natural resources, traffic congestions, and so on. So I believe there's a lot that we need to do. Next. Okay, I'm going to narrow my scope to 3 areas, which are directly under the purview of KPKT, namely smart city with emphasis on smart environment, waste management, and green spaces. So the picture I've shown earlier is actually Seremban Lake Gardens, for those who do not know this place. All right, next. Okay, over the years, KPKT have come up with a number of policies. We have the housing policies, the affordable housing policy, the national community policy, but I'm going to focus on 2 mentioned here, which are the Malaysian Smart City Framework and also the National Cleanliness Policy. So the Smart City Framework was launched in 23rd September 2019, was an enabler to help cities resolve their urban issues using technology and ICT. There are 7 components. We'll focus on smart environment today. And we also have the National Cleanliness Policy, which also was launched in 2019 to tackle cleanliness, waste management, and environmental issues. So these are the 2 major policies done by KPKT to tackle climate change issues. Next. All right, going deeper into climate change and high carbon footprint, some of these challenges need to be addressed specifically, and there are strategies set in place to resolve them. It is not an overnight solution. Some will take a longer time frame, some shorter, but importantly, we cannot close an eye to these challenges and issues. So as we can see, under the challenges, we have improper solid waste management, pollution, overflowing landfills, illegal dumping, flash floods, landslides, and so on. So, and I like to highlight attitude as one of them I put up here. And I've also put up some strategies that KPKT is currently working on from the perspective of managing waste. All right, as you see in blue, inculcate the culture of recycling, sustainable solid waste management, waste to money or waste to wealth, and promoting circular economy. And we have smart city initiatives, and also low carbon city and landscaping and urban farming. So these are some of the strategies we have put in place in KPKT. Next. Now, I'm going to go to some of them right now. Waste separation at source and optimizing waste collection. Now, each Malaysian is generating about 1.1 or 1.2 kilograms of waste per day. So if you total that up, it comes up to about 38 to 39,000 tons per day. So, which means by year 2025, it will reach about 39 to 40,000 tons per year. Per year. So that's a lot of rubbish or waste. We are recycling only 30%. The figure will be even more. So the rest goes to the landfill, which means 70% of our waste goes to our landfill. And that is not good because if you only recycle 30%, can you imagine how much waste out of the 39,000 tons per year is going to our landfill. And as of July 2021, we have a total of 141 landfills, and only 21 of them are sanitary landfills, means they have leachate treatment and so on. The rest are open landfills, and more than half, or I would say, more than half are almost at the brim. So as a survey done by SW Corp in 2014 showed that 68% of Malaysians are aware of the importance of recycling, but it's not practiced here as rigorously as we should. Countries like Singapore or South Korea and most European countries have actually reached more than 50% of recycling rate. We are still far behind as far as that is concerned. But our goal in our 12 Malaysia plan we have put in is to reach 40% recycling rate by 2025. So so these are some of the initiatives that KPKT and the local authorities will be doing, and we hope that the developers and the private sector alike can also follow suit. For example, we want to suggest that, of course, this is in the pipeline, separation at source must be enforced, and definitely we are looking into the probable of using multicolored bins for different ways and compartmentalizing bins for new development. I'm not sure whether the radar group is willing to do this, but I believe that if we start working on that, we can actually assist, the residents and the population to actually do recycling. And we are now working also with on the smart recycle bins with RFID sensors to digitalize, tracking. So, which means if we can have C4I monitoring, we can actually manage, and the waste management properly. And they also can come with a reward system. So now we are in the process of working these recycling smart bins with MOSTI. And the other thing I would like to highlight here is the community neighborhoods recycling centers to promote recycling among communities. This is a real classic example. It is done in Shah Alam Recycling Center at Section U2, where the neighborhood areas, among the neighborhood areas, they can drive through the center and it is easily accessible. We can just dump their waste according to the segment, which is put up there. So this is what we hope to have, and we are now in the plan of probably making it a requirement to have recycling centers in developments so that people it's easier for them to come forward to recycle their waste. Next. Okay, recently I had an engagement session with the recyclers, the manufacturers, and even NGOs, which are very actively participating in recycling. The number is still very small. The objective is to reduce the waste filling up our landfills or slow down the rate so that we can expand the tenure of the landfill and indirectly reducing the high carbon footprint. Besides recycling, we need more material recovery facilities. Now, this is to sort out our waste. We also need to use technology to dispose waste on site instead of loading them onto our compactors, our trucks, and carrying them hundreds of kilometers to our landfill. Now, at the moment, we are working at MOSTI to study the effectiveness of a few technology here. We have the heat pyrolysis technology, anaerobic digester, to turn our waste on site. For example, if we can put these machines, at our wet market or even at our food court or even at certain commercial areas. So we don't have to actually carry all our waste hundreds and of kilometers away, and the logistic problem and putting up into our landfill. So we can actually convert them into methane gas, renewable energy, compost. And we have already started a few pilots. For example, we have the material recovery facility in Putrajaya and the mini incinerator in Shah Alam and Sempurna, and anaerobic digester in Ampang, and of course our mini incinerator, so-called the smaller scale incinerator in our islands in Cameron Highlands, Langkawi, Pangkor, and so on. So we hope that we can do more in this. And of course, we welcome the private initiative as well. Next. Now, as far as one of our waste management program that KPT has done successfully is the Zero Waste Community. We call it ZCOM in 19 of our PPRs. Communities bring their food waste recyclable items to the rumah sampah. It's not the rumah sampah as we see today, it's very dirty, and no, this is clean. You can actually sleep in this rumah sampah because it is just a collection center for them. What they do is they bring their food waste, we weigh them, and we give them points to redeem for daily provision like rice, Milo, flour, and so on. So it became a very popular program. And our PPR now are very clean, especially those who have implemented this program. So we compost the waste and turn them into fertilizers for their farming projects as well. So that actually comes in a win-win situation for all. And we realized that actually there is a lot we can do with the communities. And I hope that probably if this can be expanded, we would like to expand this program to the rest of the other communities as well. Okay, next is the circular economy. Now, we realize there is a huge, I would say it is a potential mega industry that is yet, to be identified or grown, because we realize that in the circular economy, KPKT is in the process of coming out with a national circular economy blueprint. All right, and this blueprint will inevitably include all these as stated here: separation at source, recycling and buyback centers, MRF, EPR, waste eco park, integrated treatment facilities, use of cleaner and environmental friendly technology, private sector participation, and using waste as a resource, for manufacturers. So basically, we are looking at this next month, just for your information, next month we'll be coming out with a policy on waste eco park. What is waste eco park? Waste eco park is a place where we gather all the industry players together who are interested to use waste as their raw material, and so that they can produce another product, which is a product for the market. So this is where we want to bring them together, and so that we can have put the whole ecosystem put in one place. So this is where we will be connecting all the dots, linking up all the stakeholders in the value chain. We could recognize there is a big gap here, and circular economy will bring them together. And this is what we hope to achieve. All right, next. Looking at improving air quality and the use of e-mobility. Now, we are aware to reduce high carbon footprint, we need to use less petrol. So the use of electric vehicles and provision of EV charging stations is the way forward. And also the use of public transport and micro mobility, so that we have less vehicle on the road, more bicycle lanes in the city, and more car-free day. So some of the PBTs have really done well in this, and we have seen bicycle lanes, but unfortunately the bicycle lanes are being I would say vandalized or not used properly, in some of the cities, because car users are parking their cars there instead of using it as bicycle lanes. So therefore, we need to enforce this. And of course, with less use of vehicles, we have less CO2 emission and improve air quality. Now, of course, cycling and walking will also lead to less congestion on the road and improve health and active lifestyle. So Malacca has got a green bus, and Cyberjaya is working on a pedestrian-friendly city plan. And of course, KL has done a lot of bicycle lanes in the city. All right, next. Energy efficiency and renewable energy. For those in the construction and development sector, to conserve energy and improve energy efficiency, definitely we need to look at how to track, energy consumption, the promotion of using solar and rainwater harvesting, using smart meters, energy-saving lightings, implementing smart grid. And Malacca has done well because they have got a smart grid system, all this will eventually save electricity consumption and maintenance in the long run. And this is what we want. Okay, PJ have their low carbon city climate action plan, and Malacca has a smart grid awareness and demonstration project. We want to expand this further. These are all pilots, and hopefully that in years to come, it will be expanded to other cities. Next. Now, next. Next, please. All right. Preserve green spaces and urban parks. No, before this. Before this. Yes. All right. Okay, a couple of years ago, KPKT through the National Landscape Department actually planted 2 million trees In January this year, our PM launched a 100 million tree planting campaign from 2020 to 2025 to make Malaysia green. So when you invite the minister for any official events, give them a tree to plant. The government has set a goal of reducing greenhouse gas emission by 45% according to GDP by 2030, based on the mission of 2005. Now, a study from the Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations in 2017 showed that planting trees can actually reduce the temperature up to 8%, 8 degrees, sorry. And they are excellent filters for pollutants, as well as they cool the air and they actually absorb water. So there's a lot of goodness and benefits in planting trees. So therefore, we need to have more parks. We need to have more pocket parks in the city. Tree planting campaigns must go on. It is not just the government's initiative alone, but I think everybody, the private sector especially, and so on, must do their part as well. So using RFID as smart application in tree inventory programs, and actually, to tell you honestly, tracking down tree growth, tree plants, tree diseases, planting them digitally, and even choosing the preferred tree. Do you know that you have a climate resilient tree species that can actually absorb carbon? So therefore, landscaping in the cities, developments, commercial centers are important. If you need to cut down trees for development, all right, please replant them back. There is a tree preservation order under the Town and City Planning Act 1976, which is Act 172, that actually prohibit cutting down of trees, uprooting them, or damaging or willfully damaging trees, except with written permission from the local authorities. We really need to protect our natural landscape as our natural treasure. So we want to stop the shrinking of tree cover. And this is very important for us to decrease the urban heat island effect, absorb our CO2, and of course, it's cost saving. And when we have a cool environment, we don't need to use much more aircon. And it provides natural stress relief, encourage social and physical activities. So some of the programs have been done from Penang Green Connectors Project, Iskandar Green Economy Guidelines, Cyber Jaya, and we are also coming out with the urban community farming. Next, this is what I want to share with you. Urban farming, urban community farming. During this COVID-19 pandemic, it has really changed the urban scenario. Urban farming has become an actively participated activity during the pandemic. And you can say that every household is trying to plant something so that they can pluck from their homegrown vegetables from their gardens. So KPKT will be launching the urban community farming policy and guidelines on this coming 3rd August 2021 by our minister. This is to support the green development and environment sustainability goals, systematic and orderly planning and implementation of urban farming, guidelines on the use of available land space in the city for farming. Now, we have a lot of kawasan lapang, areas that we can utilize them for farming. Okay, of course, it is good for social integration and cohesion and access to quality food on a daily basis, because not just top quality, but organic, which is very healthy. We started urban farming in our PPRs, 19 of them, and some have actually harvested hundreds of kilos of vegetable, and they are using every available space. Can you imagine a walkway by their homes? They actually turn it into a farm space. So therefore, every area they can find, they are planting, and this has actually helped, especially the B40 in the city. Next. Now, if you can't plant horizontally, plant vertically too. Okay. Yeah, this picture in the far left here, if you see, is a photo that I took when I was in Surabaya, Indonesia. Plants planted on the overhead pedestrian bridge. I thought, why can't we do that in Malaysia? Can you imagine our pedestrian bridge, overhead bridge, that we walk by? It's so dull and cement, and I think about time we think of something different. And our back lanes, I want to show this picture because most of our back lanes are dirty and ugly. Why can't we have, back lanes can be converted into bicycle lanes and walk paths which are with tree planted, shady place for people to walk. So more greens and more green spaces, more trees actually reduce heat stress and rise in temperature. I want to show you this picture here. Now this is Taman Laman Tun Perak. You have a natural stream in the city. This is right in KL. And above there is, that's where my office is. Every day I look out from my window, I see this scenario. This is actually from my window. You know, this is Putrajaya, and there's a lot of green here in the city in Putrajaya. All right. We need to balance our hard surface city with natural resources, and this is our asset to reduce not just the heat and temperature, but also make our city livable and stress-free. Next. Okay, this is directed to development, low carbon city development. Now, regeneration actually is to reverse the damage done and have a positive impact on the environment. There are many old development that needs to be rejuvenated, and we need to redesign them to be climate responsive. Of course, this requires a lot of creativity and smart designs. All right, so I've listed a lot of things here. Rainwater harvesting is one of them. Vertical landscape. It is so convenient when you don't have enough land, just build upwards. And I think some of the developers have done very well on this. And then rooftop gardening. Now, we waste our rooftop, it's all flat and empty. Why not we convert them into rooftop gardens? Design and orientate our buildings to follow the flow of the wind. Don't block the wind flow. You know, we have our BIMS now, which is so easy for us to actually maneuver and look at the design and so on. So use that, you know. Right now it is compulsory to have 10% of, I don't know what you call it, public space or green space or green areas. I hope that maybe this can be a proposal, you know, to increase it from 10% to 30% of green areas. Instead of having, you know, maybe children's playground, you know, we can have a dedicated lot for urban farming. All right. Solar powered and LED lightings is good. Less concrete pavement. Why not have more plants and shaded walkways? You know, we must blend development with natural resources. In Singapore, this is very interesting. In Singapore today, if you travel on a helicopter to view from above, you don't see buildings but greens. Plants, canopy covers, rooftop gardens, elevated parks. They have dismantled all the concrete drains into small streams, urban forest parks, and lots of greens. And this is where we need to actually relook into our design, our development design. Whether we want it green, we have to consciously make an effort to implement it, all right, even in our design. Okay, all right, next. Now, low carbon city concept and participation. Promoting and enhancing low carbon city concept should be done at every level. It's not just at the federal level at KPKT alone. I believe many ministries are also working towards low carbon city. And it is not just the ministry level, it should be at the state level and the local authorities level. So at all three levels. And ensure all developments are based on low carbon concept. Now, this is, like I say, if there's a will, there's a way. Whether we want it, I know there will be some sacrifice made, you know, on land space, on certain, but there are many designs today that we can make use of it to base on developments on low carbon concepts. And participation from the private sector is very vital because there's so much the government can do, but there's a lot the private sector can do, and the NGOs and as well as the communities. Now, communities will follow suit if we take the lead. So therefore, I encourage all private sector to also play their role together with the NGOs, communities, and the government for a cleaner, healthier, and livable city for all Malaysians and for our future generation. I just want to show you this picture here. And when I found this picture on the botanical gardens in Kuala Lumpur, I couldn't believe my eyes that this is our KL botanical gardens. Look at how clean and how beautiful it is. And KL Car Free Day, can you imagine we have horses instead of cars, and that would make our city really green. And KL's urban recreational park in the city. Now, I always wonder, you know, when we go to London, we have that London Hyde Park. We go to New York, we have the Central Park. But want to come to KL, what do we have? But at least now I can tell them there is this KLCC Park or the Lake Gardens. So let's have a park in every city and every development. And I think that will really help in reducing the carbon footprint. All right, next, and my last slide. This is the KL Lake Gardens, where it is so wonderful, you know, especially in this COVID time, we can actually exercise, you can really move around with a lot of space. And if this is going to be our future, I believe it will be something which we look forward to, and we can reduce the number of suicide that we have now, you know, and there's a lot of things, you know, the green agenda can help the community. All right, with that, I thank you for giving me this time to speak. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Mary. You know, at times like these, when you switch on Twitter, which is somehow where I get all my news, and occasionally you look at a newspaper or you watch the TV, everything's very doom and gloom, you know, and especially for those of us who are involved in thinking about climate change, is double doom and gloom. But when I watch you do your presentation, Dato' Mary, I'm kind of filled with a lot of hope, because you're from the government, and very often we who are not from the government think that government doesn't really care about their environment, the environment in which we live, and all that kind of stuff, and fighting off climate change and waste and all that. But I see you, it's great that you are totally into this. I know that within all this, your waste management is your big thing as well, which is wonderful. So I think, for a start, let me thank you on behalf of everybody watching here today. I'm sure we are all really taken with your slides. But obviously, it's not so simple as that, is it? I mean, you have challenges, right? So what are some of the challenges that KPKT faces in driving action or climate action in this sector, especially the property development sector where we are from? You mentioned things like urban heat island effect, words which I'm not totally used to, but it sounds right to me. And it gets hotter, everybody's using aircon, we get richer, everybody's using more aircons are on, the whole world seems to be air conditioned, etc. So what are the challenges you face?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I believe we need to, all the stakeholders, whether they are from the government or from the private sector, need to understand, all right, the one goal that we need to achieve together. And we cannot work in silos, and we cannot work on their own. We have to come together and fulfill a common agenda, a common goal. And therefore, I think the challenge would be to connect everybody together, to bring everybody together, to understand that this is not about just the government's role, but every one of us have to play that role to commit to make this low carbon agenda a reality.
And going on that, I mean, you touched upon the federal government, and within that, there's different ministries, of course, and you're just one of them. And then there is the states, right? The states are very important, anything to do with land. And then, of course, there's local authorities as well, right? They have their own ideas. Presumably, within these, everybody wants broadly the same thing, which is a better life and future for sustainable development and all that stuff. So when you say coordinating, I mean, I suppose if everybody wants the same thing, why is it not so easy? We all just do it right. Is it different approaches to the same thing?
Okay, this is very interesting. I think it's understanding, because recently we had a project and actually called everybody on board, which is a state, a government, the local authorities, and the different ministries. And we discussed the issues, and everybody gave their view, and everybody were on the same page. So I think it's bringing people together on the same page, and everybody knows our role. We don't overstep into people's role. If the state have their role, then let them play their role. If the local government have their role, then let them play the role, because there's so much each department or each agency can do. But if we play our role properly, I believe everybody can just blend in, to play their part very well, and we can work together.
Thank you. So now I'm going to bring in Datuk Soam from Radar. Now, Datuk Soam, just to give him a background, he is a real proper property developer, not just association guy, if you like. And he's, very much a respected figure in this field as a CEO in a property development company. And now he is an independent director of property companies. So he's moved roles. And then, of course, at the same time, he is the Radar president. So, what are some of the challenges faced by developers? Why aren't developers, property developer companies, just getting on and producing green developments, just left, right, and center? That's all. Everything still seems to be very concrete, and we don't have those beautiful pictures that Dr. Mary mentioned in our new developments everywhere. We have some, but not as much as we'd expect, right?
Yeah, thank you, Dato Sri Johan. I think maybe let me start by saying that all companies or corporates, for that matter, the first ulterior motive of the company is to make profit. I mean, that's what the shareholder and the stakeholders and the owners of. Okay, the issue here is actually returns. If you look at it, why embracing green and getting on the cycle of ensuring that our development are all green is because the higher input costs that everyone knows in going green are not reflected in the economic or commercial returns. I think that's the first reason why the barrier for developers to go in. So maybe going forward, it's about education. It's about telling them that there are a lot of things that you can do to enhance your projects or development with equal returns. So I think it's important. Second is because there's lack of incentive throughout the whole supply chain. Currently, I think in Malaysia, the incentive are only towards certain segment of the supply chain. So like developers, there's hardly any incentive for developers, hardly any incentive for contractors. It's only for some green material suppliers and all this, there are some incentive. Or for people who are developing owner-use buildings, they get some sort of tax incentive. So because of the lack of incentive, that's why a lot of them are not moving to this, given the higher input cost as well. The other is low awareness amongst house buyers or property users. I would say property users here, because it encompasses not only residential dwellings, but commercial, retail, and the rest. They don't understand about the life cycle benefits of owning a green building or staying in a low carbon city environment. So, thus, developer, there is no demand pull factor. There's no demand pull factor. If everyone now says that I want this thing, like example, given the pandemic, if a developer were to sell a development with no high-speed broadband, I think nobody will buy there. Or there's no 4G or 5G signal, I think your development cannot sell. The other is actually a scarcity of green building materials. So thus escalating costs currently. So even though we have more than 4,000 over items on the list, but there are only about 50 items that have qualified for some sort of tax exemption or whatever. The other is actually to offer, you see, currently, given that some of the stakeholders, especially the FI or financial institution, are actually moving towards this ESG agenda, and also in line with their companies or their institutions' green agenda, they're probably giving out more loan to projects that have maybe green rating. Example, we know that now for mortgage financing, we have a few banks owned by the sovereign fund or our local pension fund. You must tick the box. If you have a green rating from any of the rating agency in Malaysia, you are rest assured that you will get in financing. So these are some of the things that will help to push developers into embracing this green agenda as well. And the other is, if there's a preferential interest rate given to projects that are green. Example, if a project that is not rated green, probably get an interest rate of 6%. But if a green project get an interest rate of 4.5%, I'm very sure, being the business owner, you will want to have a cheaper input cost as well. And the other thing is, at the end of the day, it's more about driving awareness. It's through our program like this, through our engagement with the authorities, with the stakeholders. That's where they understand a bit more about the need to go green. So there must be I would say, a demand pull factor, and also there should be a bit of a push factor here,
right.
That will help to get everybody on board.
Okay, Dato Mary. Now I'm looking here at the questions that are coming in from the floor. If you like, I'm going to move over more to them and try to marry them with the ones I had already. So first come, first serve. And there's a man called or person called Chan Wan Ong who asks, can you share with us how KPKT via local councils, or you working with local councils, can encourage private sector in the adoption of sustainable construction methods and materials that Dr. Soam just mentioned. For example, greater adoption of IBS, industrial building methods, and so on. How about is there any role that KPKT can play in that area, pushing developers using that?
Okay, I think the requirement comes from CIDB, on green materials and so on. But of course, we at our level, at the KPKT level, we are actually pushing for IBS and green building and so on. We are moving towards that, and we hope that by the government taking the lead, the rest will follow. Of course, definitely, to be able to answer that, I think KKR or CIDB would be in a better position. But we are taking the lead as far as building. KPKT is building our own houses are concerned. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Maybe Dr. Johan, let me interject a bit here. I think we have been advocating, REDA have been advocating with the government to say that there has to be a total roadmap. Given that this pandemic, we can see that the number of legal workers, foreign workers that we have, used to be about 450,000. Today, the number has dropped to 250,000. And we have shut our borders for more than 1.5 years now. There is no replenishment of new workers. So the old ways of doing work that is highly dependent on cheap labor may be now out of the way. So the reinvention has to start now. And also we have told the government that there must be a roadmap to actually tell the industry player that you can set a benchmark as to what is the IBS score that you require for your development, and then set the reduction in the number of foreign workers. So for some of the big local authority today, they have set a requirement for projects that are more than 500,000 square feet or 50,000 meters square. They want you to have an IBS score of 50, a minimum score of 50. So this score may be migrated upwards in the coming years, maybe over a 5 or 10 years period. But make it very transparent and say that we are going to reduce the intake of foreign workers, like what our neighbor is doing, Singapore is doing, so that every industry player can make the shift very quickly in the next number of years based on the roadmap that is there. So that's the thing that we are now working on with the authorities.
Okay, so transparent planning and longer term planning, so everybody knows that in 5 years' time this is going to happen, 10 years' time this is going to happen, and in some countries, for example, the excluding of cars and excluding of petrol vehicles, etc., and diesel vehicles is happening in some areas. Very quickly on the waste management side, which I know is your area, and actually you said something which kind of shocked me. How you said each Malaysian generates how much waste a day? Dato, did you say?
1.17 kilogram
a day. Yeah? Oh my
yes.
God. Yeah. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? And of course, that's average, right? Some much more, some much less. And the more richer we are, the more we generate, I guess. So all of the things that you're talking about, I mean, the examples you're giving appear to be because of your I suppose, local authorities and all that. mainly in the central region, KL, Selangor, and Penang, and so on. But are you able to move all of these more widely throughout the country to the rural areas and so on? This is a question from Seating.
Okay, all right. Waste management at the moment under KPKT is only limited to 7 states because of the Act. We have one Act 672, but we plan to look at this waste management on a bigger scale. Like I say, the collaboration between all the states will have to come in, because it is not just about talking about waste management is just not about collection from your gate, from the door of your house, but it is the whole ecosystem. It is very huge. Right now we're going on a linear system, which is like collection, and then either you separate or you don't separate. You go to the manufacturer, or the rest goes into the landfill. But there's so much that can done for the waste. You can actually treat them, you can actually reprocess them, you can actually convert them into other materials that can be used. So this is where there's a lot of things we have not actually got ourselves into, and we are going to move in a very big way. And we want to encourage all the states to participate, because right now we are looking at waste management on a bigger scale. Not just, it is an industry. It is just not collecting from your homes, domestic, but there is so much of waste generated every year. And these are resources. Because many countries around the world are actually using waste, to as their raw material to convert into another product. You can actually change plastics into clothing, that kind of thing. So this is what we intend to do. Of course, there will be a lot of investment here. We hope that the private sector can come in. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, and a lot, but I think both of you, Dato Mary, Dato Soam, you both alluded to sort of cultural barriers and what we like to do, what we are used to doing at a corporate level and at a personal level. For example, Dr. Mary, some of the things you talked about, people are damaging the projects you have. People don't look after them properly. People are addicted to cars and so on. That seems to be a cultural thing of ours, as well. And Dr. Soam mentioned that there's a lack of people actually demanding the new apartment to be in a green apartment block. Nobody's asking for that, but they are asking for broadband internet. That's more important than feeling that you're in a green environment. So maybe that is also a key thing to change. But culturally, we don't like to encourage people to have people's movements for things. We're afraid of that sort of. Not in our cultural makeup to encourage all that sort of stuff. We feel it's a bit not good. But is that something we should be encouraging? Greta Thunberg kind of thing that comes from the grassroots and actually demands stuff, and then you are there ready to supply it, Dato Soam, and you are there, Dato Mary, ready to take advantage of that as well. So is that another stakeholder, the actual demand from people that we can be the young people, the people who are coming up to buying their first apartment, that kind of thing?
Okay, let me answer that question. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It is a demand, and they are part of the whole ecosystem. They are part of the chain. Why I say that is because they are the users. Eventually, they are the ones who's going to make decision, and they are going to make decision for themselves, for their families, and therefore, whatever we do, we have to take their interests at heart, and we have to carefully study them and take their suggestions too as part of our planning process. Basically, how can they be involved? I would say the community needs to be, like you say, encouraged. They need to be educated. They need to be aware of the policies that the government are coming out with, and definitely they can actually. We need to engage them. We need to engage them and hear them out as well. And the other thing is, one of the things that the ministry has done is empowering the community. We have a national community policy where we empower the community to play a role. We give them what they need, and we actually train them, to actually take up their role as community leaders, having a sense of ownership, a sense of belonging to the community that they belong to, and they can actually play a very important role. And this is what we have done in our PPR. We have seen a lot of changes, community changes, and you say cultural changes, which they don't bother before. Now we can see the mark sheet, telling the others, in the same community, hey, don't throw rubbish everywhere. Start picking them up, These are valuable. So we saw that, and we saw people who have never done any work. Now they are actually helping the community, carrying their waste down for them. And this is what is good for the community. We need to empower them.
Yeah, that's so. What about the cultural issue? One thing that I heard in a seminar recently is that there is nobody more conservative than a buyer in a property development company. That there is green cement available, but maybe at the same price, but they will always buy what they are used to buying. That kind of thing. Does that have a role to play?
I think this is breaking down the mindset. The other thing is that, example, if you are the project owner, if you are the owner of the company, or you are one of the shareholders, first thing is actually, you are there to make profit. Okay, and for the developers, it's always this. If I got two side-by-side running project, if one project is able to sell to me 20,000 cheaper than the other one, and one is giving with this green feature, and one is without a green feature, I think most of the buyer will go for a cheaper one now, because currently they don't quite understand what is in there for them to stay in a building that is green rated versus a non-green rated. So you need to spend a lot of time to educate these people. So it's breaking down this cultural part of it, of existing people. But I think if you look at what our neighbor have done, they start from the school. Like example, like waste. They have this anaerobic digester in all schools. Okay, in most of the schools, like in Singapore, they have an urban farming plot in the school itself. So what they will do is they will put all their canteen food waste every day into the digester, and then it will be converted into fertilizer. That fertilizer then can be used for their farming plot. So that will actually change the way they think when they grow up. And then there will be a demand pull factor for developers. So in that instance, if I build something that is slightly more costly, there will be demand. People who want green, there will be demand. So it's very important that we get this whole ecosystem right. And sometimes to change the current people mindset may be more difficult. But I think as more and more people can see the benefits of owning property that is green, or staying in a township that is green, that is low carbon, then I think we have won half the battle here. That's why what REDA has done is we have been pushing this agenda on green from 2013 onwards. That's why we set up the Green RE, which is a rating house there. And we have done quite a lot in terms of saving energy over this 5 years period. We have saved close to 231 million kilowatt hours per year. And also we have reduced, carbon by about 160,000 tons of carbon per year. So when you measure that, people can see.
Okay, I've got to stop us now there, and I'm going to take that as your final message. That's what you just said. Now I'm going to ask, therefore, because the time is running out really fast, I want to ask Datuk Mary for her final words to us in this audience. And by the way, let's keep this going, Datuk Mary and Dato Soam. Let's don't let this be the last time we meet. So, Dr. Mary, your final parting shot to us and to the property developers amongst us as well.
All right, I would say that the whole low carbon city agenda, and to make our city a cleaner and a healthier place to live in, every one of us have to play that part. And I think that if we consciously do it, we all can make it. happen.
Well, thank you so much. That is brilliant. I'm now going to just wrap up for us and then pass back to Shaida. We've really, I certainly have really enjoyed discussing with both Dato Soam, Dato Mary, and in particular hearing from Dato Mary, how much work is actually being done. That sometimes we just don't realize this stuff. To be honest, as citizens, you do tend to focus on the things that aren't going right so well, let alone. But it's great to hear the good things that government wants to do. So we've got to thank both of you for that. Very much, and we hope we can keep this going. This concludes our series of 4 roundtables for Property Construction Center. First one we had we focused on embodied carbon, the upfront carbon implicit in the materials we use. Second session was on the operational carbon, the emissions, of course, that we produced during actually building the developments. And the third session on resilience and minimizing the impact to biodiversity in our projects. And of course, now today with Dato Mary and your ideas on the urban sector. We had poll questions during all of this, or not today, but in other days, and they've come up with a lot of suggestions as well. For example, talking about net zero GHG emissions target. They're wanting the government to set that. They're wanting companies to set it as well. Fiscal incentives, of course, carrot and stick penalties as well for people who damage biodiversity, and of course, the possibility of introducing carbon taxation further down the line to help with the overall project we're talking about. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to compile a list, and we're going to sort out and find the top recommendations. It's going to be a tough job, but we'll be doing that for submission to Malaysian government prior to COP26. And lastly, if I may say, we are hoping to maintain this series of roundtables as a platform for discussion, coordination, and that all-important breaking down the cultural mindsets that are imprisoning our minds a bit, that company people, government, but also I think importantly that both of you have mentioned the ordinary people, the people who are buying apartments, the young people, that if they ask for things en masse, then property developers will provide those things. You don't ask, you don't get. So in tandem, all of society, whole of government has to come to this. Very much a long game, but there isn't that much of a long game to go. So it's kind of a medium game for us. And there'll be a lot of iterations along the road to head. Thank you all. Stay safe until we meet again. And back to you, Shahida. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dato Sri Johan, Dato Dr. Mary, and Dato Soam for that insightful session. It's surely reassuring to learn about all the initiatives that are underway. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our session. But before we go off, may I please invite everyone for a quick group photo? Please turn on your cameras so we can get a group photo of everyone here today. Is everyone ready? Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, smile. Can we get one more? Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Looking good, everyone. So ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing team, please allow me to say thank you once again to Datuk Dr. Mary Wong, Datuk Sri Johan Raslan, and Datuk Soam for taking time out of their busy schedules to be with us today, to share their views and participate in this discussion. The same goes to the audience. Thank you all for joining us today. Your attendance and participation are integral to the purpose of these roundtable engagements. You may visit www.cgmalaysia.com or scan the QR code on your screen to stay updated with the latest news and upcoming activities. There you'll be able to view the key takeaways as well as the presentations from each session. Video recordings of these sessions can also be found on Green RE and Climate Governance Malaysia's YouTube channels. So until the next one, take care and stay safe, everyone. Don't forget to recycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dato Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dato Mary. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dato Johan.
Thank you.
Thanks.